Alright, welcome back everyone to the third and final part of episode 29 of Ask the King. I know it's a long episode, but I think a lot of these questions are pretty interesting and entertaining, so I hope that you're enjoying my answers as much as you're, like asking the questions. So let's get to a couple common questions that a lot of people asked me. So the first one is, in light of the Sandy Hook shootings that took place last month, okay? The NRA and a lot of other people have come out and they're trying to use video games as a scapegoat. They're trying to say that games like, of all games, Mass Effect 3 are the reason why people are growing up mentally ill and going out and shooting people. That these games are desensitizing people to violence. Now, first of all, one thing that I have to say is, of all the games to pick, why would you pick Mass Effect 3? Wouldn't you pick Call of Duty or Halo, the two biggest fucking shooters on the planet? Why would you single out a game that isn't even primarily shooting gameplay? There's role-playing elements, there's dialogue, there's sci-fi story. I don't understand what it is with people picking on Mass Effect. Like, it just makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. But what this is a classic case of redirecting the blame and creating a scapegoat so that the people who actually probably are mainly the reason for the problem don't get the blame. The National Rifle Association are a group of people who are very diversified. There's some people there who like hunting. There's some people there who are very for Second Amendment rights because they're very adamant about protecting what they own, protecting their families, what they've earned. And there are a lot of very legitimate reasons to own a gun, okay? Very legitimate reasons. But there's also a group of people, and I'm not saying it's the whole NRA because it's not, but there are a group of people in the United States specifically who are basically terrified people. These are people who live in fear from day to day. And it's kind of such a crazy fear when you think about it. They're literally afraid that our government is like spying on them all the time, is tracking everything they do, especially since 9/11 and, all the Patriot Act and all that stuff has gone into effect. But they're so deathly afraid that their government is out to get them, that one day, somehow the president will stand up and say, the United States has now become a police state, and we're going to kick down everyone's doors, and everyone's under arrest, and we're taking all your weapons and all your valuables, and you're now under our regime. It's become a dictatorship. They're literally people who are deathly afraid of this, okay? And so they think they need to stockpile weapons, automatic weapons, explosives, crazy stuff, because they're afraid that there's going to be World War III when the government becomes oppressive and tries to take over the whole country. Do I even need to comment on that? You know what I mean? Like, sure, there are absolutely times when our government oversteps its bounds and tries to regulate things it shouldn't. Like, example, SOPA and PIPA last year, when they were so adamant on trying to control the internet, and the people stood up and said, fuck you, no, we're not going to allow you to do that, and all of a sudden, when they realized that they wouldn't be reelected, all of the lawmakers changed their minds on that bill. That's pretty much what would happen in any case if the government ever tried to do stuff. And let's be completely honest here. If right now there was a ban on automatic weapons, so all you could have was like a standard handgun, and that was it. Or a standard, single-shot rifle or something like that, and it wasn't automatic. What would drastically change, okay? I'm not saying I support a ban. I'm not a pundit. By no means am I trying to tell you that I have any kind of a solution for the gun problem in the country. But I do have the intelligence in my head to understand there is a gun problem. No, it's not a mental illness problem. No, it's not a video game desensitizing people problem. It's a gun problem, okay? And so something needs to be done. So I don't know what the solution is, but for people to say, oh, it's not the guns, it's Mass Effect. What? Like, anyone with a brain in their fucking head knows that that's the dumbest fucking association you could ever make. And to say that it's had nothing to do with guns, like, I'll be honest, that guy, the head of the NRA, he's a little fucking, I just don't understand him at all. But anyway, that's my feeling. It's a scapegoat. The real issue here is guns. Something needs to be done. I don't know what, but it's just a redirection of the blame to try to get the heat off of the NRA. Okay. Another common question asked this time around was, what do I think about the announcement that Sony has now patented technology that it looks like they may be using and implementing in their PlayStation 4 that will make it impossible to play used games on the console. Basically what will happen is, when you put a game into a console for the first time, it associates that game with your console, and it actually uploads data like to an online server somewhere that associates that. So if that game tries to be booted to a different console, it won't work, okay? But it's kind of been said that there's no way to get this to work if you just unplug your console from the internet. So if it's a game you're not going to play online, it wouldn't matter anyway. But people are in an uproar. They're like, oh my god, I can't believe, why would Sony do this? You know, used games are a huge part of the reason why people can play as many games as they do and afford games. And if people were always forced to buy new games for full retail price, that they wouldn't be able to play as many games as they do. And, you know, a lot of people are concerned about this, and I can understand that. Not everyone has unlimited funds. Not everyone is doing gaming for a living like I do, and they're not able to just play games and be able to buy every single one new. Well, the bottom line is, I don't think you should blame Sony. I think you should blame GameStop. And that's my honest opinion, because GameStop is a company that had a business model where they could have found legitimate ways to make money. Meaning, they could have found a way to make enough profit selling new games, selling new consoles, selling new accessories, selling strategy guides, selling all that stuff. If they had intelligent leadership, they could have found a way to make their business work off of that. There are plenty of other businesses that do it, like Best Buy. They don't accept used games. Well, actually, I take it back now because now they do. But previously, companies like Best Buy, Target, all these other companies that sell games, they seem to make it work without selling used games. Now, unfortunately, they're changing and they are starting to do it. But used games do take money out of the hands of publishers. They really do. Publishers, game designers, all these companies are losing out on profits because so many people are buying secondhand games. And GameStop is the biggest culprit, where they'll take your game, they'll give you $10 for it, and then they'll sell it again for $50. And it's like, why the hell would you buy it for $50 when you get the new for $60? Well, some people just can't afford to buy them all new, and that little bit of savings is enough for them. And GameStop is basically raking in money hand over fist with the used game market, to the point where, you know, these actual publishers are complaining, we can't take this anymore. We could have sold another 1 million copies of this game if it weren't for the used game market. So Sony is now implementing technology to stop that. It's unfortunate. I think that it's going to severely hurt the wrong people, because who are you really intending? You're really intending to stop GameStop from making money off of a secondhand market, but who does it really hurt? It's going to hurt the line level gamer, who now has to pay more money for the games that they used to play less for. So it's unfortunate. I kind of saw things going in this direction for a while, and unfortunately, I don't know if this might be implemented in the PlayStation 4. It won't affect me, luckily, but I understand for the common person it could be a big concern. We're just going to have to see where it goes, okay? Alright, now on to Twitter questions. This one's from, they call me a fan too, and he says, would you ever want to make a podcast about things that matter to you other than gaming? Now that's an interesting notion. A podcast where I talk about other things. Maybe I talk about politics. Maybe I talk about things in the news, business, the economy, all kinds of stuff. The thing is, I've never seen myself as an authority on those things. I don't see why I would be viewed as an authority on those things. I think I have intelligent, interesting thoughts. I don't know if anyone would be interested in hearing them. And when you say podcast, so now you're talking like a live show that I'm recording, and maybe I take callers and we do stuff like that. Right now, I don't even know how I would do that. I would actually have to talk to John Rambo, I guess, and see how he does it. Because I don't have no clue how to do that. But that could be something interesting in the future as I branch out that maybe I do. I would have to see if there's enough interest in it. Right now I'm focused really on building this, they call me, the King of Hate Vlogs channel, and I want to try to get a solid, consistent viewership on this channel that people are interested in, because right now I know that the videos on this channel are getting less views than they did when they were over on DSP Gaming. Once I think I've established that and I've really made this channel a successful launch over the course of this year, then maybe I can look to branch out to other projects. This one's from AJ Kesh, and he asks, do you think the Xbox 720, which, by the way, it's not going to be called the Xbox 720. You don't just double 360 and say that's the new console. Stop calling it that. Just say the new Xbox or the next Xbox. Or the PlayStation 4 will be released by the end of this year. I firmly believe that neither of these consoles will be released by the end of this year, and here's why. Not once in the history of gaming has a gaming console been announced and then subsequently released in the same year? The Wii U, the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, back to the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 1, all the Nintendo consoles, they've always been announced at like E3, and then maybe the year after, that's when they get released. So I do not believe, even though there are strong rumors that the new Xbox is coming later this year, I do not believe that. I think that those consoles will be announced at E3, and then what will happen is later on this year, maybe they'll have release dates, but it's not going to come out in 2013. Okay? That's my solid belief. This one's from Nathan McBurney, and he says, other than work and gaming-related goals, what personal goals do you hope to achieve in 2013? From Nathan in England. Personal goals. I would say I definitely want to travel some this year, so definitely maybe go on vacation somewhere nice with Panda Lee again. I would definitely like to at least attend one gaming convention. I think that should be an ongoing goal for me, that I at least get to one gaming convention. So whether it's Too Many Games, whether it's Screw Attack Gaming Convention, whether it's another one, I definitely want to do one of those. And I've already talked about this a lot, but I would really like by the middle to the end of this year to have a solid plan on possibly moving out of this condo to a bigger place where I can live with Panda Lee and we can really have our own lives started there. With the new, the thing is, that would be so cool to have different vlogs there, new series and stuff that we could do from the new place. I will have an update on that status, by the way, and that big video that I'm putting out this weekend regarding the future of 2013 and everything that's been going on with Machinima and such. So definitely be there to watch that video this weekend, okay? Alright. Next question is from KWAS1, and he asks, are the Suicide Kings making a return for Grand Theft Auto 5? Great question. If you don't know what the Suicide Kings are, I strongly urge you to take some time out and head over to a channel that I have not used in quite some time. It's called Red Dead DSP. This was a channel that I created way back in like I want to say 2009 or 2010, I think it was 2009 actually, where the reason I created it was I wanted to do playthroughs of Rockstar games, but I wasn't sure if Rockstar was going to be a pain in the ass and hit me with copyright strikes. Rockstar infamously has put up copyright flags on playthroughs of their games when they're new. So when I did Red Dead Redemption a couple of years ago, I made a new channel called Red Dead DSP. And this channel, I did a full playthrough of Red Dead Redemption, I did multiplayer gameplay with John Rambo, and then to finish off the game, I did a series called Suicide Kings, where myself, John Rambo, our friend Mayor McJustin, who we actually went on later to do the Dead Island co-op playthrough with, and several other people online, we came together and we did a series where what we tried to do was the most ridiculous amount of deaths you could possibly do. So we're talking getting on a horse and just riding off a fucking cliff, flying, flailing ragdoll in the air and hitting a waterfall. Or, I'm trying to remember some of the things we did. It was just some crazy fun stuff. Oh, jumping off the top of giant mountains with snow and landing on a village below after falling hundreds of feet. And it was really fun and it was creative and I really enjoyed doing it, and it got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. People loved the series. And it was a 3-parter. But since then there really hasn't been an open sandbox game like Grand Theft Auto where you could do that kind of stuff. Now yeah, there were games like Saints Row and such, but those were kind of, that game was almost made like you can jump off the building. They made the capability of doing it and you could use a parachute to survive or whatever. So we've really been waiting for another game where you can do it. It looks like Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to be that game, so I am proud to announce, yes, we will bring back the Suicide Kings. They will ride again in 2013, and I'm excited about it because I want to see what kind of crazy shit we can pull off in Grand Theft Auto 5. Alright. Next question is from iBakerBoy, and he says, will you be at E3 this year? I already kind of addressed this earlier, but I don't know. I don't know if Machinima is going to be running another promotion where they're having their partners fly out to E3 again. For me, it's not an issue of cost, because all of this stuff is a business write-off for me on my taxes. The issue is getting the actual credentials, getting the badge. So what I'm going to do is, if they're not running a promotion to come this year, I'm going to still seriously talk to them and see if they can maybe just get me a badge so that John Rambo and I can get in and cover it like we did last year and say, listen, you don't have to pay for anything. We'll pay for the flight, the hotel, everything, but we want to represent Machinima. We did so many, I think it was like 70 plus videos we recorded. I actually think it was more of 90 videos we recorded. And Machinima, let me tell you, they're extremely appreciative of that because it made them look like great. It made them look, wow, we sent people out there to seriously cover the event. And it really got the Machinima name out there, especially for people who were searching for independent E3 footage. So they loved what I did. And they even said, I mean, they even kind of said to me, you did more than anyone else we sent out there, and we appreciate that. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that even if they don't do a promotion where it's like a special game or something, that they'll still have something and I'll have a way to get in the door. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, the next question is actually the last Twitter question, and this one is from ML Charted, and he says, Heavy Rain is one of your most viewed playthroughs. Do you think that Beyond Two Souls, the next Quantic Dream game, will be too? If you really want my honest opinion, I think that it's games like... How can I say? It's games like Heavy Rain, it's games like The Walking Dead that really are my best playthroughs. Because those games are a little bit lighter on the gameplay, but they had amazing stories, amazing characters, and some pretty funny situations that allowed me to joke. Now, not so much in The Walking Dead. I do have to say that was a more serious tone. There wasn't much joking going on in that playthrough. But with Heavy Rain, there was just some silly stuff going on that I could joke about all the time. It looks like Beyond Two Souls may end up being another game like that. So I am just so looking forward to Beyond Two Souls. In fact, I'd probably say it's one of maybe the 3 most anticipated games for me this year. I'd probably say Beyond Two Souls, BioShock Infinite, and then maybe 1 or 2 other games here or there I'm really psyched for this year. So here's hoping that Beyond Two Souls is great. And The Last of Us would definitely be another one I'm looking forward to. But here's hoping that Beyond Two Souls is great, and I'm able to pull off another great playthrough just like I did with Heavy Rain. Alright, now we have just a few short Facebook questions, and that's going to be it for this episode. Kevin M. says, if you and Pandalee are still thinking of moving, how are you going to record with her 2 dogs? Obviously, she isn't going to leave them behind. What are you going to do so they don't knock down your camera or anything while you're filming? Well, a couple things. First of all, Pandalee right now records with her 2 dogs. And yeah, you do hear them bark every once in a while during the videos, but as you see, it's not that major of a deal. They are small dogs, they're Chihuahuas, so it's not like there's huge dogs that are going to be barreling through knocking shit over. Also, really technically only one of the dogs is hers. One of the dogs is kind of her mom's, and one of the dogs is hers. So if she were to move out of her mom's and move in with me, probably only one of the dogs would be coming with us. So, it is a concern. And if we do move into a new place, we're going to have to lay ground rules and say that we are not letting the dog into this room and this room. So whether it's the office where we do recording and direct capture, or maybe the living room while we're recording, I don't know. We'll have to see. But we're definitely going to have rules where that dog is not going to interfere. If the dog moves in with us, it's not a guarantee. But if the dog does move in with us, we have to make sure that there's rules in place that that dog does not interfere with our work. Okay. Next question from Martin Kennedy. He says, what was your training regimen like for Street Fighter when you were playing at your peak? Can you give any pointer on how to improve as much as you can with limited time on your hands when you can't quite play as much as you would like? Well, Martin, the bottom line is this. Unfortunately, it's a different situation. It's a new day and age right now. When I was playing Street Fighter competitively, and I'm talking back when I started in like the late 90s, the early 2000s, there were arcades, and arcades were prominent. You could go to arcade, and there'd be 10 people there playing, all with different play styles, different gameplay, and you would learn so much just playing against these varied people who all came to the arcade to play each other. Today, arcades don't exist anymore the way they used to. There's no video games in arcades anymore. It's all ticket games and shit like that. So you don't have that opportunity anymore. But now, of course, you've got online play. And yeah, I know that online play does have lag, and it is annoying that you may have to put up with that. But the bottom line is a lot of people today are purely learning fighting games just by playing competitively online. And there are a large group of gamers who are going to tournaments, going to EVO, and they're winning, and they're online. They call them pad players, but yeah, they grew up playing fighting games on game pads, playing online, and that's perfectly fine in this day and age. The games have come to a level where you can do that. It's not like the old school Street Fighter that was so strict with inputs and such that it was almost impossible to play online. The games today have more laxed inputs, and they're accounting for online lag, and if that's how you need to learn, then that may be how you should learn. So, Martin, what I can tell you, and for anyone who's trying to learn a fighting game, if you don't have a constant group of friends who you can play with, and you're all into the game enough that you're all playing and learning separate strategies, you know, with different characters and such, online play is the way to go. Even though it's laggy, it's definitely the way to go. And then, hopefully that'll translate into in-person gaming at tournaments, and that's how you're going to get into a tournament fighting shape. Okay, the last question comes from Jonathan Holcomb. And his question is, how do you feel about Sly 4 being announced yesterday for only $40 on day one at retail? Should this be the future of video game pricing? I'm going to be honest with everyone, I was very surprised because Sly 4, from all intents and from all reports, it's going to be a full game. It's not like it's going to be an El Cheapo game or a discounted game or a game that's not a full retail release. It's going to be a full retail release, and for them to only charge $40 instead of $60 may be an interesting competitive practice where they rethink that they will sell significantly more copies if they charge less. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Would have been willing to pay $60 for a Sly game because I think the Sly games are great and it's a great franchise. But I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning there was. I guess we'll have to see. But for one, I'm looking forward to Sly 4, and the fact that the game is cheaper just sweetens the deal. Okay. So an extremely long episode of Ask the King. I answered many, many of your questions. If you would like the opportunity to have your question answered in the next episode, which again is roughly scheduled for February 28th, 2013, you can post up your questions right now. There is a thread already active on my King of Hate forums where you can post up those questions. And definitely do that now, because a lot of people, they say, oh, I didn't get a chance to ask on Twitter and Facebook the day of. I'm like, well, then why didn't you ask the question on the forums, So definitely, if you have a question and you don't want to take a chance that I don't see it, you definitely want to post it up on the forums ahead of time. And then, the day of filming, when it comes, I will also be accepting Twitter and Facebook questions. So, thanks everyone for watching this extra long episode of Ask the King. I hope you found it very informative, and I hope that I entertained you with my answers. Definitely this weekend, be here on the King of Hate Vlogs for the big announcement video regarding my future here on YouTube in 2013. I've got mixed up. The news is going to be a mixed bag, I'll be honest with everyone. So, I kind of want to talk to everyone about it so you understand what's going on, and we'll go from there. So thanks a lot for watching Ask the King. I will see you next time. Definitely post up your questions in the thread. Peace out.